Why do some people rewatch the same show over and over again? Not once, not twice. I'm talking about finishing all 8 seasons and immediately going back to episode 1 like it's a ritual. You already know the plot twists, you know who dies, you know the jokes before they land, and somehow it still feels good. If that's you, relax. You're not boring. You're not stuck in the past. And you're definitely not running out of content. There's actually real psychology behind why your brain prefers familiar stories over new ones. Let's be honest, starting a new show is stressful. You don't know if it's going to be good. You don't know if the characters will annoy you. You don't know if the ending will emotionally damage you for 3 business days. It's a gamble. But rewatching your comfort show, that's safe, that's predictable, that's controlled emotion. And your brain loves control. When you rewatch something familiar, your brain doesn't have to work as hard. There's less uncertainty, less cognitive effort. You already understand the characters, the tone, the rhythm. That familiarity reduces anxiety. It lowers stress. It creates a sense of stability. In psychology, this connects to something called the mere exposure effect. The more we're exposed to something, the more we tend to like it. Familiarity builds comfort. Comfort builds attachment. That's why your favorite show can feel like home. But it goes deeper than just liking familiarity. For many people, rewatching is emotional regulation. Think about it. Life is unpredictable. Relationships shift. Work gets stressful. News gets overwhelming. But your favorite show, it stays the same. The characters don't change their personality randomly. The storyline doesn't suddenly disappoint you differently. Every time you press play, and you know exactly what emotional journey you're signing up for. It's controlled emotion. You're choosing when to feel happy, nostalgic, excited, or even a little sad, but in a safe, measured way. There's also something powerful about predictability. Humans are wired to seek patterns. When we know what's coming next, our brain relaxes. There's less threat detection, less hypervigilance. It feels secure. For people who struggle with anxiety especially, predictability can feel like relief. That's why many anxious personalities gravitate toward rewatching instead of trying something new. It's not laziness, it's nervous system management. And then there's nostalgia. Some shows are tied to specific periods of your life. Maybe you watched it during school, maybe during a relationship, maybe during a time when things felt simpler. When you rewatch it, you're not just watching the show, you're revisiting a version of yourself. Your brain links memories with emotions. So when you re-enter that fictional world, you also re-enter the feelings attached to it. Safety, comfort, familiarity, even growth. It becomes a time machine. Another reason people re-watch shows is attachment to characters. Humans form what psychologists call parasocial relationships. That's when you develop emotional bonds with fictional characters or media personalities. Even though they're not real, your brain processes them socially. It reacts to them like it would to friends. So, when you rewatch a show, you're not just revisiting a story. You're revisiting people you feel connected to. Their voices are familiar. Their personalities are predictable. In a world where real relationships can be complicated, fictional ones are stable. They won't suddenly ghost you. They won't change their behavior unexpectedly. They exist exactly as you remember them. There's also something interesting about anticipation. You might think that knowing what happens would make it boring. But research shows that spoilers don't necessarily ruin enjoyment. In fact, sometimes they enhance it. When you know what's coming, you focus on the details, the dialogue, the subtle expressions, the foreshadowing. Instead of watching for shock, you watch for meaning, and meaning creates depth. For some people, rewatching is also about mastery. The first time you watch something, you're absorbing the plot. The second or third time, you're analyzing it. You notice hidden details. You understand character motivations better. You catch jokes you missed. It feels satisfying to fully get something. It's like rereading a favorite book. Each time reveals something new, even though the core story stays the same. Now, let's talk about personality types. People who rewatch the same shows often score higher in traits related to sentimentality and attachment. They value emotional consistency. They appreciate stability. They're often reflective and memory-oriented. That doesn't mean they hate change. It just means they recharge through familiarity. Introverted personalities especially may prefer rewatching because new content requires social and emotional adjustment. New characters mean new dynamics, new tones, new tension. That's stimulation. Familiar shows are low stimulation comfort. But here's something deeper. Sometimes rewatching isn't just comfort. Sometimes it's avoidance. If you're constantly choosing familiar shows because trying something new feels overwhelming, that can reflect a broader fear of uncertainty, not just in entertainment, but in life. The same way someone replays a show to avoid unpredictability, they might also avoid new experiences, new risks, or new social situations. The brain that craves familiarity in media might also crave familiarity in routine, relationships, and identity. That's not necessarily bad, but it's worth noticing. Another fascinating element is control over emotional outcomes. In real life, you don't know how things will end, but in your favorite show, you do. If you're about to watch an emotional episode, you already know you'll survive it. You've survived it before. That gives you emotional security. It's the difference between walking into a dark room for the first time versus walking into a room where you already know where the furniture is. You move differently when you're not afraid of hitting something. There's also comfort in repetition itself. Repetition signals safety to the brain. Think about how children ask for the same bedtime story over and over. It's not because they forgot what happens. It's because predictability feels safe. That same wiring exists in adults. We just disguise it as rewatching for fun. And let's be real, sometimes new shows are just exhausting. Cliffhangers, emotional manipulation, and unexpected character deaths. Plot twists designed purely to shock. Your comfort show doesn't play games with your trust. It earned your loyalty already. Rewatching also creates a background sense of companionship. Many people play their favorite show while cooking, cleaning, or falling asleep. The familiar voices become ambient comfort. Silence can feel heavy. New content requires attention. But a familiar show, it feels like friendly noise. It's emotional white noise. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's the key question. Are you rewatching because it brings joy or because it feels safer than growth? If it's joy, beautiful. Comfort is important. We all need emotional anchors. If it's fear of trying something new, maybe that's your sign to gently challenge yourself once in a while. Not because rewatching is bad, but because your brain deserves both comfort and expansion. The psychology of rewatching the same show over and over isn't about being stuck. It's about how deeply humans crave safety, attachment, predictability, and emotional regulation. In a chaotic world, your favorite show becomes a controlled universe. You know the rules, you know the people, you know the ending, and sometimes knowing the ending is exactly what your nervous system needs. So, the next time someone says, "You're watching that again," you can confidently say yes. Because you're not just watching a show, you're managing stress, revisiting comfort, reconnecting with memories, and giving your brain something it quietly craves: familiarity in an unpredictable world. And if you're already thinking about restarting season 1 tonight, don't worry, your brain just likes feeling at home.